everyone, welcome to the May Google Hangout with the absolutely fantastical Kate Toon of, well, pretty much the only person I follow for SEO tips and advice. And I just know that you guys are going to get so much out of this session like I do every time she posts a little tidbit of information somewhere. So make sure that you have your pens and pads handy, and I'm going to hand you over to Kate for a fantastic session on SEO. Take it away, Kate.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can see me. My name is Kate Toon, and yes, as Ali said, I'm an SEO consultant. Well, I guess I'm not so much an SEO consultant anymore. I've moved more into the area of training and educating people and helping them learn more about SEO. And, you know, if you're watching this, then obviously you have a little bit of an interest in SEO, but I know that a lot of people find SEO really boring, really technical. It's something they're frightened of. It's something they know they ought to do, but they don't want to do it. So today, hopefully, I can make you fall in love with SEO a little bit more. But let's get started with the presentation. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm just going to check. Am I all viewable? Is everything good? Can I be seen? All good?
Yes.
Hurrah!
And just while that's coming up, Kate, because we have got a lot of people on now, don't forget, guys, if you want to ask questions, you absolutely can. If you're in the Google Hangout on your computer, then you can post questions in the Q&A section. Or we've sent you through a second link in the newsletter, and you can absolutely ask questions on that link as well, and I will be posting them to Kate either throughout the session or if it fits at the end of the session. So we will make sure to get your questions answered as well. Take it away, Kate.
Okay, so here we go. Hopefully you can all see the slides. Let me know if you can't, or let Ali know. So today we're going to talk about making Google fall in love with your website, and basically the very foundations of getting started with SEO. So let's get started. Okay, so I think it's really important, although many of you will know this already, to explain what SEO is and also what it isn't. So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and really it's the process of influencing those natural search results so that your website pages rank well for your chosen keywords. So a few things to pick up on there. Search engine optimization is all about the natural search. It's got nothing to do with the ads that you see. You used to see down the side, but now you only see at the top. The two are not related. The two do not influence each other. You can spend all the money you want on Google AdWords. It's going to have no impact on your organic search. And it's really important to understand that, because the truth is that about 80% of people totally ignore the ads. Yeah, they get something called ad blindness. Or they just feel that, well, those people are paying to be there, so maybe they're not the best companies. Maybe the best companies are the ones that are coming up in the natural results, so the ones that come up just below the links. And, you know, I think what's really important to understand here is the conversion rates that come from SEO. So the truth is that 75% of people will never scroll past the first page. So it's all about getting your website on the first page, and that search is the #1 driver of traffic to websites. So of all the other things you do, whether you do email marketing, social media, whatever, Facebook ads, you name it, search beats all of those. It actually beats social media marketing by 300%. So in terms of getting traffic to your site, there is nothing more powerful than SEO. And I'm going to explain that a little bit more as we go through. So the truth about SEO. Now, I think one of the biggest problems I have with SEO is the myths that are out there and the confusion. And, you know, people put up questions in forums and people flock in and answer, but they're not necessarily giving the most, I don't know, informed answer. Or they may have an agenda behind that answer. And it's very hard to get the truth about SEO. But here are some truths that cannot be denied. Yeah? Search catches people in search mode when they're ready to buy. That is super powerful. Think about it. If someone sees your ad come up on Facebook, well, they're not really maybe there in business mode. Maybe they're there to watch a Game of Thrones video or look at pictures of cats, you know, but they're not there to buy your product right now. The same goes with tweets. with Google Plus, even with Instagram. You know, people aren't in buying mode when they're on those platforms all the time. With TV and radio, it's the same. You know, generally you're there to be entertained, not to be sold to. So, but search is completely different. Somebody who's typing something into a search engine wants that thing. And the longer the search term that they put in, generally, the more clear they are on the thing that they want, the further they are down the conversion path. And the example I always give here is, I rank #1 for the term copywriter. And you'd think, wow, that's amazing. You know, you must get so much traffic from that. And I do, because the #1 result in Google generally will give you 33% of the traffic for that term. So, you know, if 1,000 people are typing that in every month, I'm going to be getting 330 of those every month coming to my site. But the term copywriter isn't that useful to my business, because think about it, somebody typing that in might be a copywriter, they might want to train to be a copywriter, they might be just looking at trying to see what other people's websites are like because they want to copy them for copywriting. They don't necessarily want to employ a copywriter. So while you'd think that it was great to rank for that little short term, actually what's better for me is when someone types in financial services website copywriter in Sydney. Because what does that person want? Well, they're pretty damn clear on it. They want a financial services website copywriter in Sydney. And if I am that person, and if I can deliver on that promise, I've got them. You know, I'm going to convert them. So SEO catches people in search mode when they're ready to buy, unlike any other marketing medium, I would argue. Email marketing is pretty damn powerful, but you've got to get them on your list first. So, you know, until you've got them, you need search. And the main thing you need to understand about search is that it's for people who want what you do, but they don't know that you do it. Yeah, so people go on to search because some people will search for branded terms. So, you know, if I wanted to find Ali's site, because she's done a lot of work on her branding, I might go in, I might type her name, I might type motivating mum, or some kind of variation of that. But if I wasn't aware of her, what would I type in to Google? Maybe I'd type in, you know, support for business mums. Maybe I'd type in, you know, business mum advice. And what Ali needs to do is make sure that she ranks #1 for those phrases. That's what search engine optimization is all about. Does that make sense so far, Ali? Are you still with me? Jolly good. Okay, so let's get down into the nitty-gritty. Let's, you know, pull the, I don't know, I was going to use a strange analogy there. I was going to say, pull the bread spread away, pull the doona back and look underneath. That's a really weird analogy. Instead, let's lift the bonnet of the car and look at the engine. What makes SEO work, yeah? So essentially, there's 3 pillars to SEO. Technical, content, and links. Now, you've probably heard about the middle one, but people speak a lot less about the other 2 because they're not as sexy and they're not as easy. So the first one is technical. You need to build a technically sound website. There is no point doing all the other stuff if your website is not working well. And we're going to talk a little bit more about platforms in a second, but building a technically sound website is about not just making sure that it loads quickly, which is a big factor with SEO, and making sure that it's responsive so that it looks good on your mobile phone, on your iPad, on your desktop, wherever you are, your website looks awesome and is really easy to use. So those are 2 really important technical things. But there's a few other technical things that you need to be aware of, like blocks and not letting Google actually crawl your site. Now, there are a lot of platforms out there that make this very easy for you, and there are some that make it very hard. I'm going to talk about that in a second. So technical is the most important thing, and it's the foundation, and you have to do it first. You can't leap to creating content, because if you start writing millions and millions of blog posts, it's like piling bricks on foundations that are unstable. You know, it's never going to turn into a beautiful mansion of a website. So technical #1. Content. Now, I'm sure you've all heard content is king, you know, write great blog posts, yada, yada, yada. God, everyone says it. So boring. But, you know, basically content is very simple. You need to understand your audience and you need to help them. You need to be useful. You need to answer their questions. You need to be their go-to resource. You know, so while you might want to blog about your new cat and how gorgeous it is, does that answer a customer question? You know, if your audience loves cats, yes it does. But if not, don't post about cats. The next thing is links, and links isn't talked about as much as it should be because there's been a lot of misinformation about building links. So what people say now is you shouldn't build links, you should try to earn links. And how do you earn links? by producing killer content. So it's kind of back to number 2. But that's all very well and good and great. Okay, well, I'll just go and write a piece of killer content today. I've got 15 minutes. Awesome. It's not as easy as it sounds, is it? You know, you write a blog post, you think it's amazing, but it doesn't do as well as you think it should. So, you know, you can sit there and hope that your content earns links, or you can actively go out and build links. And there are different ways to do that. We won't have time today to go through all of them, but we can talk about a few of them later on. But, you know, you need to be actively going out and listing yourself on directories. You need to be forming relationships with other businesses and asking them if they'll link back to you. You need to be writing guest posts. Yes, guest posts are still okay. You can do them. You need to be getting press releases out there, put to real media outlets. You need to think about clever, creative ways of building links. And I'm going to give you a top tip at the end. For those who hang on, I'm going to give you my number 1 link building tip, but I'm not going to give it to you until the end, so you have to wait. And then the final thing is social. Yeah, and social media, there's a big debate about whether social media has a direct or an indirect impact on SEO. By direct, it means if you've got 150,000 likes and your competitor's only got 10,000 likes, are you going to rank higher? Well, probably not, because it's basically, it's indirect. Yeah, so putting something on Facebook and getting a link from Facebook to your website isn't the same as getting a link from a really awesome website like Sydney Morning Herald or Mamma Mia. Yeah, it doesn't count as much. It doesn't add up to as much. But what does social media do? It does lots of other things. It builds brand awareness. It makes connections with your customers. It's a place to post your blog posts, and that's then going to drive more likes, more comments, more shares, and in the end that could lead to links. Yeah, so I recently wrote a post about Fiverr and how it was amazing and how I'd spent $154 and I'd got all this awesome stuff. And I worked really, really hard to get that a lot of social shares. Now, that post now ranks very well because quite a lot of those people who socially shared it also linked to it. And links actually do count in the algorithm. They're one of the most powerful things in the algorithm. So SEO is a mix of all these things, and that's why when people come to me and do my courses or do my consults, I'm saying to them, you're already doing SEO. You don't realize it, but you're already spending maybe 3 or 4 hours a week marketing your business, and you're wondering why you're not getting the impact that you should, because you're actually putting the time in, you're writing the blogs, you're Instagramming, you're tweeting your bum off, but you're not getting the ranking that you want. And generally that's because maybe you're not focused. You haven't got a clear idea of who your target audience is, what keywords you're going after, and you're not being consistent. So, you know, a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I don't have time to do SEO. And I say to them, well, how much time do you spend a week on Facebook, blogging, social media? And they say maybe, 2 or 3 hours a week. And I'm like, you've got time to do SEO. You're already doing it, you're just doing the wrong things in the wrong order. So we'll move to the next slide now, people. Okay, so what I'm going to take you through is the first 5 steps of SEO. I'm going to give you the first 5 things I would tell any blogger or business owner to do when they started their SEO journey. So the first one, and many of you will be already past this, kind of need to go back a little bit, is to plan your site. Too many of us rush into building our website and just focus on things like, oh, I got a really pretty logo, and like I got these nice colors in the background, and you know, whatever. You need to think of it more unemotionally. You need to look at your competitors and you need to see what sections they have in their website. You need to think about the navigation structure of your site. How easy is it to get from section to section? Do you have too many sections in your top navigation? It's just overwhelming. People don't know where to go. You need to keep every page of your site focused and single-minded. So look at each page of your site and say, if I only wanted someone to do one thing on this page, what would it be? Or if I wanted someone to get one takeout from this page or one message, what is it? One page, one message. So you need to plan that out carefully, and then this is also about that whole thing I was talking about with technical stuff. You know, you need to make sure that you're using a good platform for your website, that you have good hosting, that you've chosen a clever domain name, that what else? That it's speedy, that it's responsive, that you haven't missed anything. Yeah? So it's basically about taking the time to plan your site and not worry so much about the aesthetic, but worry more about the structure and the technical side of things. The next step, and don't worry if you've got questions on any of these slides, we can cover them off at the end, because, you know, obviously it's not easy to go into in-depth in a presentation like this, but I can answer specific questions at the end. So next, again, building your site well. The number one platform that I would recommend is WordPress. We'll talk a little bit about Wix and Squarespace in a second, but WordPress was invented for blogging. It started out as a blogging platform, which means it's inherently SEO friendly. You have to be a bit of an idiot to mess up WordPress is SEO friendly. You actually have to break it. It just is SEO friendly. And you can make it more SEO friendly by adding sexy little things called plugins. And this is what a lot of the other platforms don't have, which makes WordPress the best. There's a great plugin called Yoast, which does 60% of your SEO. There, done. And it's free. There's another one called WP Cache, which again will speed up your site and make it load faster. There's another one called Broken Link Finder, which will find all your broken links. Generally the names kind of tell you what they are. But the plugins are really what makes WordPress excellent. The other thing is it's open source, which means that anybody in the world can develop for WordPress. It's open. They're not trying to hide anything. So, some genius developer comes up with a new way of doing something, WordPress will let it happen. Whereas some of the other platforms, they're owned, they're private. So, they're maybe not as on top of things as they should be. And that's what I love about WordPress. Once you've installed your WordPress platform and you've got a good template, it will take care of a lot of the changes that happen in the internet for you. So, for example, when responsiveness became a thing, which is only 2 or 3 years ago, when everyone suddenly got a smartphone, WordPress released a new version of itself and new templates. And you didn't have to go out and spend 20 grand on a whole new website. You could just replace the template. Yeah, there's a degree of work, but it's not going to cost you a fortune. So build your site well, and I would definitely recommend WordPress as the #1 SEO friendly platform. The next thing I would do, and this is where it gets boring, it's not that boring, I would head along to Google Search Console. Now, Google Search Console, you've probably heard of Google Analytics or Google AdWords, and you maybe have a Google Analytics account, and maybe you've installed that, and you can see how well your site is doing. And Google Search Console is like the ugly brother of Google Analytics. Yeah, it's all the nitty-gritty. So you can go along to Google Search Console, you can enter your site, you'll get a little bit of verification code, and you can put that on your site. And I hope it's okay to mention this, Ali, but at the end of the presentation, I'm going to give you a link to my free 10-day challenge, and on day 7 of the challenge, I take you through step by step how to add yourself to Google Search Console. Now, Google Search Console is awesome. A, it's free. B, it will help you check things like, is my site responsive? Is it fast? Do I have broken links? Have I broken something? Do I have a sitemap? All of that, it's all in there, and it's all free, and it tells you how to fix it. See, this is the thing about SEO. Everything about SEO is out there in the public arena. If you had a year, you go out there and learn everything. All people like I do who do courses is that we've done that year for you, and we've pulled together the salient information. But the truth about SEO is that it's all out there anyway, and Google tells you 80% of what you need to know. They don't try and hide things, it's just they're not very good writers, and sometimes it's difficult to understand what they're trying to say. So Google Search Console is Google's tool to help you do SEO. And it's free. So why wouldn't you sign up for that? It's just amazeballs. Okay, next one, Google My Business. So Google My Business is all about local search, which is hugely important. Even if you are a virtual company, there is some degree of importance in trying to have a headquarters, a local base. Because a lot of searches, I don't have a statistic here, I could just make one up, I guess, but a lot of keyword searches include a location keyword. So, if you'll want a window cleaner, you're not just going to type window cleaner, you're going to type in window cleaner South Yarra, Melbourne, And so what you need to do is tell Google where you are. And obviously you can put your address on your website, but one of the best ways of telling Google where you are is to set up a Google My Business page. It used to be called Google Local, used to be called Google Places, it's all been called about 50 million different things, but now it's called Google My Business. And you can go in there and you can set up a brand page or a shop front page. And if you're a bit worried about the shop front page because you don't want to put your address out there, that's fine. You can just set a broad location, so you don't have to give your physical address. You'll need to give your physical address to get the card that comes through the post to prove that you're a real business, but you don't have to publish your address to the interwebs. Another option here is you can set up a virtual address, or if you have a mate who owns a shop, you know, ask them if you can use their address for your Google My Business page. The Google My Business page is excellent for local SEO. Local SEO is a huge driver. Local SEO results now come up in the blended results. So if you look at the search results, if you type in something with a location keyword, you'll notice that the results are slightly different. You get a little map, and you get like 3 local businesses. So if you can get your business up into those top 3, wow, you're winning. So much traffic is going to come your way. So the next thing I would do is set myself up on Google My Business. And finally, and you're going to go, oh no, where's content? She hasn't mentioned content, because we're not at content yet. You know, some people get straight away and they're like, oh, I'm going to start writing blogs. We're not ready for that yet, because what you need to do is you need to start building just a few links. Yeah. Now, I think everybody, a challenge after this webinar is to go away and think of one business that might link to you. Yeah. Now, first of all, you can go to directories. There are a lot of good directories that are legitimate. Think of Yellow Pages, Hopfrog, Gumtree, TrueLocal. You can have a listing on all of those. Some of them need an address, some of them don't. But what I find is I had a business come to me recently, and they built their website a year ago, and they're like, we're really not ranking very well. And I looked at their site, and there wasn't one link pointing to their website, not one on the whole of the internet. You know, the reason it's called a web is it's meant to be a web of links. So if your website is a silo, is a dead end, it doesn't link out to anybody and no one links to it, well, Google doesn't like that. That's not what the internet is about. So you really need to think about setting up some basic links. And here's another analogy I'm going to give you. I have another client who has spent 6 months writing blog posts, and the way I analogized it for them was, imagine they're an island, a Greek island, and they built this beautiful resort, and what they're doing is they're building hotels, and they're building restaurants, and they're building discos, and it's amazing. But what they haven't done is they haven't hooked up the ferry service. There's no ferry service from the mainland to the island. So they've got this amazing resort, but how's anyone ever going to find it? You've got to get your ferry service going first, and then start adding content. And yes, your first few visitors might not be that, they'll be okay. You know, maybe there's only one disco and one restaurant, but then over time you'll open more and more restaurants. Am I taking my analogy too far? Probably, but I hope you get what I mean. So building some links, finding at least one other site to link to you, looking at some directories as well. Now, I want to have a chat about Wix, because whenever I go into any forum on Facebook, everyone's like, oh, Wix, 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 Wix. And if not, then they go, Squarespace, Squarespace. Now, Wix, yeah, it's great. It's cheap. I think it's practically free. I don't know. But, you know, you can set up a website in a matter of hours. But Wix is not good for SEO. I'm sorry to say it. I know you don't want to hear it. But there's a reason why good websites aren't on Wix. Now, does that mean you shouldn't use it? No, it's fine. If you just want to get something up because you just want to start your business and you want to set it up, go for it. That's fine. But be aware that it will never rank well. Yeah? And someone's always got some story they can pull out about their cousin's auntie's hairdresser's dog that has a Wix website that's ranking really well. But what I'm saying is 99 times out of 100, it won't rank well, because Wix has some inherent SEO problems that they can't solve. Also, it's not open source. You don't own it. It's not your own. It's Wix's. It's on their platform. So, you know, I know that you want to do Wix, and you can do Wix when you're starting out, but you need to migrate to WordPress. And when you migrate to WordPress, you want the self-hosted version, not the WordPress-hosted version. Now, I'll be totally honest with you. When I started out with a WordPress-hosted website, and then I redid it, and I redid it, and I redid it. It's an evolution. You can't start straight away with the most amazing website unless you've got oodles of cash. So Wix is a fine starting point, but if, you know, when you see in forums people advocating Wix, they're advocating it because it's easy and it's cheap. And you don't often get easy, cheap, and good. It's kind of, you have to pick 2 of those or something. There's some kind of Venn diagram that we can pull together for you after the show. Okay, so it's Squarespace. Squarespace is okay. It's getting better. They've worked very hard to make it more SEO friendly. But I would just say, why Squarespace when you can choose WordPress? People go, oh, the Squarespace is so pretty and you can have these big images. There are something like 180,000 good quality responsive WordPress templates. I defy you not to be able to find one that looks just as good as a Squarespace one. And you will thank me. You will thank me in bucket loads if you make the decision today. If there's one thing you can do to improve your SEO right now, it's move off Squarespace and Wix and move on to WordPress. You'll see differences almost immediately. And if you are on WordPress, and many of you are, a lot of people go, oh, I don't install Yoast. Yoast is awesome, it's amazing. Yoast is just the first step. Yeah, Yoast is a plugin that helps you do stuff. Yoast in itself does not make your site immediately SEO friendly. It's not like pressing a button. Yoast just makes the job of doing SEO easier. So one thing that Yoast does is it helps you, uses that little traffic light system to tell you how well you've optimized the post. And people get very obsessed with that. They want green lights. I don't know if you use Yoast, Ali, but they want green lights on all their posts. And if they don't get a green light, they feel like a failure. They feel crushed inside. But the truth is, I'd say maybe 10% of my posts have a green light, because Yoast is a guide. It is a tool. It's not definitive. So say you've written a post about piglet jumpers. I always use piglet jumpers as my example. Now, if you were to use that phrase as often as Yoast wants to use it, you'd be using it in your title, in your headline, in your body copy, maybe in an image file name, maybe in an image alt tag. You know, you use piglet jumpers quite a lot. But even in that, if it's quite a short post, it'll start to sound a bit weird, won't it? Because every few words there'll be the word piglet jumper, and you'll start, well, why should you say piglet jumper? You know, what Google wants, and what Google Hummingbird, which was one of the algorithm updates that you might have heard about, what that was all about was that Google wants copy to read and words to read like enjoyable words. So if I'm reading an article about piglet jumpers, what other phrases could I use to describe piglet jumpers? I wish Ali had a microphone on, because I could do a bit of brainstorming. But, you know, maybe piglet pullovers, maybe knitwear for porcine beasts. I don't know. There's many different ways to say piglet jumper. And if you really want to do well with SEO, you need to have rich phrases. So for sure, pick a focus keyword for your page. Enter it into Yoast. Use it, follow Yoast, follow its advice on readability, on subheaders, on headlines. Follow the advice, but don't take it too much to heart. You know, if you don't get the perfect green light, it's not the end of the world. And also remember, not every piece of content and not every page really can be SEO optimized. You can't SEO optimize a contact page. You can't SEO optimize a privacy policy. You know, good SEO is about picking cornerstone content, and I think my next slide is about cornerstone content. Yes! I'm so on the ball today! So what this is about is saying that, you know, not every page of your site is going to be booyah awesome. What it's important to do is try and create some cornerstone content. So say Ali has a blog, and her main categories within the blog, I should know this, I should have checked this out before, but her main categories in the blog are like, you know, WordPress advice, business advice, financial advice, things like that. So different things that she blogs about, how to blog, how to use social media. And she basically has 8 or 9 categories. What she really wants to do is create a killer, most awesome piece of content in each of those categories, so that if all the other blog posts disappeared, her site would still be good enough. It would still cover those 8 categories really, really well. And that's why, you know, when it comes to creating content, I definitely advocate creating one killer 1,500 word ultimate guide to whatever post a month, rather than 5 300 word thin, weak, crappy blogs, just because you feel like you should blog, just because you feel like you should put a post up, because you want to put one up once a week. Google does not reward the newest content, and it does not reward the most frequent content. It rewards the best content. So you really need to go through your content and say, is this the best piece of content I could have produced? And if it's not, how can I make it better? So this is the next step with your content. Yeah, so you've written a killer piece of content, and again, you know, we don't necessarily have time to go through every aspect of that, but come to my various pages and I will tell you. But so you've created this killer piece of content, this cornerstone piece of content, and that's when most people stop. You know, they've invested time in creating a really good blog with, you know, links and images, maybe even a video. It's got some useful tips and a downloadable, and they're like, great, I've done it. Now I'm just going to wait for the traffic to flood in. Well, I'm sorry, but that isn't going to happen. You can't just publish and pray that people are going to find it. You need to actively go out and make people read your content. Links still matter. And what I would recommend, again, another takeout, we've taken out that WordPress is super important. The next thing to take out is that you should spend less time writing and more time amplifying. So if I create a piece of content, maybe I'll, say I spend 10 hours on a piece of content. 2 of those hours will be writing the piece. 8 of those hours will be promoting the piece. So that means scheduling tweets for 2 or 3 weeks about that post, and then also auto-scheduling them to come up month on month. It might mean creating a meme, putting it on Instagram and embedding it back in my post. It might mean repurposing that post, so creating a video or a slide share or an infographic and sharing that elsewhere. It might mean going into forums and scrolling around and seeing, has anyone asked a question about the subject that I've written? Well, yes, they have, because I've been so awesome that I've deliberately written a piece of content about something that people often ask about. And I'd go in and say, hey, well, yeah, I had a problem with that as well, and I wrote this blog post about it. You might want to check it out. You can even go further, and this is where it gets into sort of slightly pushy territory, but it does work, where you can go out and you can blog at outreach, and I'm sure many of the bigger blogs will have had people come to them and ask them about this. You can go out and you can say, hey, Ali, I noticed that you published a piece about how social media drives lots of traffic to business mums' websites. I've written a piece about how social SEO does the same thing. Would you be interested in linking to that or sharing that with your network? 9 times out of 10 they might say no, but it only takes 1 or 2 people to say yes, and then you've got the whole new audience. So before you write a piece of content, ask yourself a question. Who will amplify this content? Who am I going to share it with? What is my strategy after I've written it for getting it out there? And I'm sorry, it can't just be that you're going to put it on Facebook once and you're going to tweet it once and you're going to include it in your monthly newsletter. That's not enough. Not if you want to achieve SEO success. And just quickly, before we get into the Q&A, I just want to debunk a couple of myths, and these are ones that I see time and time again coming up in forums. The first one is about duplicate content. So there's 2 different types of duplicate content. There's duplicate content on your own site, and duplicate content where content from your site appears on other people's. So let's first of all talk about duplicate content on your own site. So this happens a lot if you're an e-commerce store owner and you have lots of products and they're very similar, like maybe the only difference is that one's blue and one's pink. And so the product description and everything is very, very similar. Is that duplicate content? Yes, it is. And is it bad for your site? Well, no, you're not going to get a penalty. You're not going to get blacklisted. But is it good for your site? No. Because what Google will do is it will look at those 2 pages and it will go, well, they're both pretty much the same, so I'm only going to index 1. So the other page just may as well not exist at all. So what you're better off doing is trying to make those pages as different as possible. And people say, oh, how different? 10% different? 20% different? I'm not going to give you a figure. You need to read the blue widget page and then put it to one side and write your red widget page, and make it as different as it can be. You also need to really think about whether you need a blue widget and a red widget page, or whether you could combine them and create one killer blue and red widget page. And just have a drop down with the 2 different colors. If you do definitely want to have one product that's more awesome than the other, then you need to look into doing complicated things like canonical referencing and telling Google that this is the top page. Get a bit more techy. We don't want to do tech if we don't have to. So let's take the easy route and just make the pages different. So the other type of duplicate content is where you've written an article and then you publish that article somewhere else. So again, is that duplicate content? Yes, it is. Will you get a penalty? No, there is no duplicate content penalty. I want you to believe me on that. But what will happen is, if that site is better than yours, and we measure betterness with something called domain authority. So you can. There's a tool that I can tell you that will tell you your domain authority. It's called Open Site Explorer. You can go in and see that. So Ali can go and put her website in and see that she's got a domain authority of 38 and I've got a domain authority of 32. Well, that would generally say that something that Ali posts and something that I post, Ali's content will rank higher than mine because of her domain authority. So if you have a post and someone else publishes it and their site's better than yours, their piece will rank and your piece will never rank because Google tries its best, generally, to only display one piece of content. So what that means is you don't want to be publishing your content on other people's sites. If you write a guest post, make it unique and make it for that site. If you're putting stuff on LinkedIn, then maybe only put a snippet of it on LinkedIn and then link back to your site, or write fresh content for LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn has a way higher domain authority than any of us, so it will always rank above you. And is that what you want? Do you want to be sending your traffic to LinkedIn, or do you want to be sending your traffic to your own site? Now, some people might want to send their traffic to LinkedIn because they just want to get the word out, they want to get branding out, they don't care if people don't come to their website, they just want people to make contact. But if you have like products and stuff, and you're selling stuff, you want people on your site. So there is no duplicate content penalty, but you don't want to duplicate content. I hope that makes sense. Google AdWords and SEO, they have nothing to do with each other. Yeah, paying for Google Ads will not improve your SEO. It will help you because you'll get a better idea of which keywords work well for your business. So I often say to people, if you've got $300-400, run a 3-month Google ad campaign, look at which keywords do best for you. It might not be the ones you think, and then use that to inform your SEO. But they don't influence each other. And also, if you're working with an SEO company and they say that they're Google AdWords certified, well, fabulous. That's great. You can do my AdWords, but it doesn't mean that they know anything about SEO. So I have a great lady that I use for my AdWords called Melinda Sampson from WinClicks. She did my course because she puts her hand up and goes, I know nothing about SEO. And I put my hand up and go, I know nothing about AdWords. And I don't want to because I find AdWords really boring. So 2 different things, 2 different disciplines, 2 different skill sets. The final myth I want to get away from is that link building is bad. What's bad about link building is going out and paying somebody on Fiverr $20 to build you 20 links. They'll be dodgy, they'll be bad, they'll have a negative impact. So building links shouldn't be something you go, huzzah, today I'm going to build 100 links. Building links takes time, yeah? So you can do the obvious ones straight away. We've talked about directories. But now I'm going to give you my #1 tip, my link building tip. Are you ready? Do you have your pens ready? Has Ali got her pen? She's going to write it down. I can see her. She is. So I think one of the best way of earning links is to go on a karmic mission of love. What I mean by that is you make a list of anybody who has helped your business in the last 10 years, and you make a point of going out and writing testimonials for those businesses. So you go back, and if you bought a product from ShopX, you write a testimonial. You do it on Google My Business, sorry, you do it on TrueLocal, or you just send it to them and say, I'm just thinking today how awesome that product was, and I just wanted to send you this little testimonial to help your business because I know how powerful testimonials are. Now, what 9 times out of 10 they will do is they will publish that testimonial on social media and link to your Facebook page or whatever. They may also feature it on their testimonials page or even their home page, and they might give you a link back to your site. So I'm not saying do it in a cynical way. Don't go out and write testimonials for things that you thought were crap. But it's a very nice way of building links. So not only are you helping yourself, but you're helping the other business. And that's, I'm very into karmic SEO. I don't think we should be sneaky or do dodgy things, but helping people by writing testimonials is a really powerful way of building links. So the karmic mission of love, people, build some links. And this brings me back to sources of truth. I do see a lot of people posting questions in the gazillion Facebook communities that exist. And just think about who is answering that question. Yeah, everybody has an agenda on Facebook. That sounds so cynical, but everyone's either trying to sell something or trying to position themselves as an authority, or they're just trying to be helpful, but they really don't know what they're talking about. That sounds awful, but it's true. So if you post a question in a Facebook community and 6 random people give you an answer, you still don't know if you've got the answer. You don't know if it's the truth. It's just their perspective. Now, these are the people that I follow. Rand Fishkin, who's very handsome, that helps. Brian Dean and Neil Patel, slightly less handsome, but very clever, so let's not judge them. And of course, me. So, yes, these guys are selling stuff. They're selling courses, they're selling software, but they've also risen up to the top for a reason, that they give good, solid advice. SEOs will always disagree on certain points. Some, like Neil Patel, believes social media is, a really big factor in SEO. Rand Fishkin doesn't believe it. Brian Dean is all about building links. He's maybe a bit cutthroat in his link building, whereas, Rand is a bit more fluffy-wuffy and gentle about it. So, they will disagree, but you'll get a good perspective. You've got 4 different opinions there. And, me, because at the end of the day, I sell training. So I don't sell SEO services. I don't do SEO for anybody anymore, unless they're big businesses like Kmart and they have loads of money. But I don't do it for small businesses. So giving you advice isn't actually going to earn me money. Giving advice positions me as an education person and therefore makes people think, well, if she gave me that good advice there, maybe she's worth learning training from. So, you know, it's a slightly different pitch. I mean, obviously I still have a business and there's still vested interest in there, but just think about who's giving you advice and think about your sources of truth and go to the source, because most people in the forums are just regurgitating stuff that they've read on Neil Patel's blog, you know, but maybe that Chinese whisperer has just twisted it to the point where it's actually no longer true. And that's it. The next steps was to say to join the free, 10-day SEO challenge, which you can join. Ali's coming back in a minute now. We'll be able to see each other. I hope she is anyway. And that's it. Yeah, join the challenge. Woohoo! We're done. Can I turn it off now, please?
Yes, absolutely. And I was going to say, in the email that we're sending out to everyone with the recording, there's also going to be the link to your challenge and to your course and everything as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Was that good?
Yes, it was fantastic. I always learn stuff from, you know, all of these talks, so that was really great. I know some people have had some challenges with potentially putting up questions, so if you have, you can also message me through my Motivating Mum Facebook page, and I've got that open as well. But I have got a few questions for you, Kate.
Woo!
The first one is Anna from the Big Freeze. She says, can she ask, is it more important to have links from other sites to specific pages or blog posts on your site, or is it just as good if they include a link just to like your homepage of your website?
Well, look, I think what Google does is it does judge your site as a whole, but it also is a sum of its parts. Yeah. So when you go and explore that little tool called Open Site Explorer, and I'm just going to type that into the chat so that you can see it. You'll go in and you'll see what it does is it gives your site a score or a domain authority, but it also gives individual pages a score. Yeah. So if you drive all the links to your homepage, great. Your homepage will do very well, but that might not actually be your goal. You might actually want individual pages within your site to do well. You might want to spread the love around. So, for example, I wrote a post about copywriting rates and how much they should charge. Now, that has to link to the page that I wrote about it, because that's where I wrote about it. So if I want that page to rank well, I want to drive links to that page, not to my homepage, because then someone's going to click, 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 find the post. The other thing is, if you find that you're ranking, you're using some kind of tool, like one of Moz's tools or one of the tools I recommend on the course, and you say, oh, look, I'm ranking in position 11 for this keyword, for this piece of content. So I'm nearly there. I'm nearly on the first page. One of the most powerful things you can do is build one link to that page, and it might push you up to the next page. So I think the thing to think about there is to look at what's ranking, look at what pages are ranking, and look at what position they're in, and then use that to inform your link building strategy. But no, I wouldn't. I think from a user perspective, it doesn't make sense to drop everyone on the homepage all the time. So just think of it from an SEO perspective and think of it from a user perspective. And you know, sometimes it makes more sense to drop people on a category page or a product page or a blog page than the homepage. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Absolutely. Yep. I got a message from Yanina Leah. She says, can I please ask you what you think of the Blogger platform? Because that's where her site is on and has been for quite a while, and she's loath to change.
Yeah, look, Blogger is okay, but I think, you know, from an SEO point of view, it's fine. You can't do a lot of the things that one does to optimize. You can't get into the back end of Blogger and do a whole lot. The thing that makes a platform good or bad are things like, can you change the look of it very easily? Can you get in and change things like titles and meta tags and image names and alt tags? Can you add things in that are going to speed it up? If you can do all those things on the Blogger platform, great. But the Blogger platform isn't really necessarily about business. You know, it's more for people who are browsing around. And I think once you get serious about business, you need to maybe move to the next level and move to something like WordPress. So, and I also think Blogger has a bit of a, I don't know what you think, Ali, but I don't know how seriously I would take a business that's on the Blogger platform to the web. It's a bit snobby, but there's something about you know, the platform that kind of says to me, this person means business as well. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. But from an SEO point of view, it's fine. Is it the best one? No, the best one is WordPress.
Okay. Now, a couple from Fiona. The first one is, first of all, she said, that's really interesting that you suggest longer killer blogs, because when guest blogging for others, she's constantly asked to stay within a small word limit. Current thinking seems to be that people will only read short blog posts.
Yeah, I mean, there are oodles of proof and stats that show that Neil Patel from QuickSprout is one of who's done a lot of study into this, to show that posts that are over 1,500, 200 words get more likes, get more comments, and get more shares, because people are more invested. So if you've spent the 7 or 8 minutes that it takes to read a longer post, you're more likely to then want to do something with that post, because you gave them all that time. And you remember a lot of people are reading stuff just to share it, just to make themselves look like an authority. So, you know, you've got to the end of that long post, you're going to comment, you're going to share, you're going to link to it, and that will influence your SEO. So, you know, and don't underestimate your audience. I mean, you might think that people are time poor, but I'm sure all of us have got into an article and just been so absorbed that they really have read it all the way through. And also, if the content is good enough, people will keep reading. So yes, Seth Godin, for example, makes posts that are only 100 words long. But unfortunately, we're not Seth Godin. We're not pithy, we're not witty, we can't write it that way. And sometimes it just needs longer. You need to, that's why these long-form sales pages work very well as well. You know, like if you have a course or you've seen any courses, they go on and on and on. And you think, well, I hate that kind of stuff. I just scroll to the bottom and look at the price. But they work. The stats show they work. But my answer to the question would be, write it as long as it needs to be. If you start to feel like you're spreading too little butter over too much toast and you're just regurgitating, then stop writing. But yeah, I can categorically say that my longer posts do a lot better than my shorter posts. So, and I know that some sites have limits on guest posts. They might not be as SEO savvy as we all are now.
So it's probably a good thing to test as well. Like maybe test with one and see how your audience respond.
Yeah, yeah. But it's also about the investment of time, you know. So the post I did recently, you know, I put videos in, I put a content locker in, I put all this stuff, you know, and I made it really awesome because I'm going to spend a long time promoting that post. And I find it, you know, that if it's a really long post, then there's a lot more different ways you can promote it. You can pull out different sections, you can make things into memes. It's a 300, 500 word post. What can you say about it? 2 or 3 things? So longer posts give you more material for social media as well. One good post on my site gives me a month's worth of social media material. That's my goal anyway.
Fantastic. Someone missed the name of the plugin that speeds up your site. Can you mention it again, please?
WP Cache is one of them. There's another one called W3 Cache. When you do the challenge, which I hope all of you do, I give you a list of my SEO plugins in the challenge, so you can go and download them. Very important with plugins that you don't just randomly download them and install them because they look sexy, because lots of plugins don't work with other plugins and can crash your site. So, you know, it's always a good idea to back everything up before you install a plugin, and only install a plugin that is current, that has at least 5-star reviews, and that has thousands and thousands and thousands of downloads rather than just a couple of hundred. So, you know, there's a lot of plugins out there and some of them look awesome and promise the world, and then you install them and your whole site goes. So just be careful with plugins. So it's WP Cache.
And thanks, Jermaine. Jermaine also had commented that it was WP Cache. Jermaine's question is, I'm a freelance graphic designer. What's the best way to optimize for a specific location area, i.e. I live in a suburb in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, Mooroolbark, and want to target surrounding suburbs and people in my community for work?
So I guess the question there is whether you want to have a visible address. You know, a lot of people are funny about that because they're worried that people are going to come around their house and I don't know, do horrible things to them. The truth is, if someone really wants to find your address, they can find it. You know, you can pay people on Fiverr a fiver and they can find everything about you. So really, there is no privacy, unfortunately, people anymore. If someone wants to find you and that's why you're holding back from doing anything local or address-worthy, I don't know, that wouldn't be the approach I would take. So if you have a visible address, You want to do a couple of things. You want to set up a Google My Business page. You want to have that address on every page of your website. And the best place to put that is in your footer, because that generally appears on every page of your site. Another thing you can do is go and type your address into Google Maps and grab the map, the embed code for a map, plop it in your footer as well. Because again, that creates a direct link between your site and Google. And then you can do things like, list on all those local directory sites, have your address there as well. After that, after you've done the basics, then it's about more being a bit clever. So, for example, I have someone on the course who's a marriage celibate, and she really wants people to find her in her local area. So she will write posts around the 10 best places in suburb to propose, or my favourite photography spots for weddings in, or I just did a celebrant survey in today, and this is what happens, and here are some photos. So you start weaving that location keyword into your blog posts and into your content.
Beautiful. Another one is, how valuable are links to your website in your bio of guest blogs?
Well, they're as valuable as the site is good. So if the site is good and has good domain authority, well, then that authority flows for you. I've got another analogy. You might have worked out I love analogies. But those towers of champagne glasses where you pour the champagne at the top and it trickles down? Think of it like that. So, the higher, basically that champagne is trickling down into your website. That's what authority does. It's also called SEO juice. So if it's a really good site, like if you manage to get a guest post on Motivating Mum and she linked to me, some of her domain authority flows through to me. If it's not a great site and it's got low domain authority, well, it's not as valuable. But, pretty much all links that aren't dodgy, that aren't on porn sites or gambling sites or random sites in China that you've never heard of, they all will pass some authority onto you. So, yeah, they're valuable.
And I assume you can check their domain authority in that Open Site Explorer as well and see what their domain is and maybe identify sites specifically through that.
One of the things I teach on the full course is really how to look at your competitors. So you pick someone you really want to be like maybe you want to be like Ali, and you go and you can look at all her backlinks and you can look at all her keywords, you can look at everything, and you could use that as your strategy for building your own site up. It sounds sneaky, but that's just what people do, So if I see that when I started out as a copywriter, my big competitor was a guy called Glenn Murray from Divine Right. He was awesome, very good writer. We're mates now, so it's all good. But obviously, I wanted to be like Glenn. I thought he was amazing. So I looked at his site, I saw everywhere he'd ever got a link from, and then I made that my list, and I worked damn hard to get a link from every one of those sites as well. I didn't get all of them, but if he had a guest blog on site B, I tried to get a guest blog on site B. That's how you do it. That's how you do SEO.
And one more, I'm not sure if I understand this one. I'll read it to you. It says, you already have lots of Google love. Would you still recommend to a newbie to do one long, very comprehensive post per month, then amplify the bejesus out of it? I'm assuming what she means is you already have lots of Google love, so it works for you. Is that what you would also recommend to newbies who don't have that?
Well, look, I think... yeah, I mean, in a way, yeah, I would. I mean, there is some kind of degree of quantity over quantity, having a fair amount of content. Every piece of content you produce is another ticket in the SEO lottery, so there is an argument for just producing short content to kind of fill it up. But what's going to get you noticed? If you really write a definitive guide to something in your business, you might find that even your peers share it, even your competitors share it, and rather than yet another, like as copywriters, loads of people on my course are copywriters, and I say to them, please, for the love of God, do not write another piece about how to use a colon. It has been written to death. There does not need to be another blog post on how to use a colon. Instead, try and find some unique perspective that you have and write a really awesome post on that really makes you stand out and differentiates you. And yeah, it can take one post. In the early days, I wrote a post about Facebook, and this is when I first started. I was only like a year in, and that post went boom. It went boom, and it was delivering something like 4,000 hits to my website every month. That one post. So I think you have to ask yourself the question really, and say, do you want to be producing post after post about generic subjects, or would you also enjoy writing more a really awesome piece of content? And for me, it's always the second. I don't want to write what everyone else has written. I don't want to just pump something out for the sake of pumping something out.
Great. 2 last quick questions. One is from Danny. She just said, how do you know how to choose a good host, and does that have an effect on SEO?
Yes, it does. So, you know, you generally, if you're in Australia, you want to try and choose an Australian host. Things like how fast the site loads and things like that, they're all important. But, like, you know, every site I've built, I've started off hosting it on Bluehost, bluehost.com. It's $6 a month. You know, if you're starting out, it's absolutely fine. Yes, it's in America. Has that had any major impact on my ranking? No. Because, you know, you've got to remember there are something like 200 different things in that Google algorithm. Hosting is one of them, you know. Something like backlinks is 25 of them, you know, so things have different priorities. So if you're starting out, I'd say go something cheap and cheerful like Bluehost, just get yourself set up, and then maybe when you're getting a bit of traffic, you can migrate to an Australian host that can cope with a bit more traffic and then maybe delivers faster speeds and stuff. But hosting can be expensive. You know, the one most important thing about hosting is never, ever host with the person who built your website. Always own your own hosting. And if the web developer wants you to host them, say no. Yeah, because then they own you. And you can never leave them. So just choose a third-party host. Okay? That would be my tip. So, yeah.
And one thing I heard a while back, I don't know whether this is true or not, is that there was a thing where they were saying that, you know, because people were sort of swapping links, saying, I'll put a link to you on my site, you put a link to me on your site, and that will help with link building. But then some rumour came out saying that basically if you do that, it kind of negates the link because Google's like, oh, now you're just swapping links and it's not really a true link. Was that true? I don't even know.
That's another really good myth. It's called reciprocal linking. Look, there are things called link farms, which some dodgy SEO companies set up, where they literally link all their websites together, and you know, and it's on a grand scale, you know. But me giving a link to you and you giving a link to me, do we really think that Google's going to even notice, let alone care? Do you know what I mean? I think if that's all you did, if every single link you had was reciprocal with another, then yeah, it wouldn't be great. But the odd reciprocal link, that's what makes the internet work. Do you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. So I think, you know, as with most things with SEO, everything on a small scale is pretty much okay. It's when you get into a grand scale, you know, and people say to me, is it okay if I put like 10 new pages up today, or is that going to mess up with Google? Yeah, that's fine. If you put up 20,000 pages in a single day, Google might go, hang on, that's a bit odd. But, you know, unfortunately, most of the people watching this and most of us mere mortals, we're too small fry for Google to even notice. So in terms of that one, it's fine. Don't do it with 1,000 people. But doing it.
Beautiful. All right, well, that's it from us, and we've hit 12 o'clock, so we've definitely managed to fill the hour.
I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for coming online. Like a lot of the times when we have Google Hangouts, we'll be like, "Are there any questions?" And there's like literally no one has a question. And here it was just like boom, 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 which I knew it would be. Because it's always an area that mums in business really don't have a lot of experience in and feel quite lacking in confidence in. And I knew that you would have loads of fantastic answers. So thank you so much, Kate. It's been amazing you having me on board.
Thank you so much for asking. And I just say to everyone, be brave. Be brave. It's not as scary as you think.
And we'll definitely be sending out the link for the free challenge for everyone to check out, and also her course as well, so you can absolutely get involved with Kate further and get more of her great tips. Also, just before we sign off, a big thank you as always to my Google Hangout gal who runs everything for me, and all I have to do is turn up looking gorgeous. So thank you, Anita. Always fantastic having you. If anyone does need training on Google Hangouts, or they want to learn how to run their own webinars, you know, Anita can teach you, and she's just so great at that sort of thing. So absolutely get onto her for that. And that's it from us today. We'll be back in a month with actually a really good speaker talking about converting your online digital sales and making sure that you've set up some great sales funnels and things like that to convert online. So we'll be back for that one in about a month. And until then, thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
See you.
Thanks for listening to me. If you think that you would love to know when my next video comes out, you can. Just subscribe here or here or here or down there or somewhere around here. You'll see the subscribe button. Hope to see you again. Bye.